One. Okay. Yeah. I'll go. I can start with one, and then you go two, and then I'll go second. Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the June 6th Board of Selectmen's meeting. And if you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to remind everybody this is being televised by Chelmsford Telemedia, and I'll ask if anybody else in the room is broadcasting or televising this and recording this in any way. None? Thank you. Okay. Public service announcements. Brenda Lovely, Chelmsford Garden Club, opening of the Chelmsford Public Garden.
Good evening. I'm here tonight with Monica Kent, who has been a dedicated worker on this Chelmsford Public Garden. Chelmsford Public Garden is announcing its grand opening celebration June 14th, which is next Tuesday, at 4 o'clock. The rain date is the following day. We are looking forward to having everybody come join us. You will notice that there are many different trees, shrubs. The benches are in, the tables are in. It's 99% completed, and it should be completed by the end of this week. So please, all of you, come join us. Monica?
That is your formal invitation.
That's great. Oh, we have one here as well.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll see everybody there. And thank you, Selectmen, also, then the town of Chelmsford, and all of the donors. It has been a fabulous turnout from this town. We
Great.
Appreciate it.
Sure,
Thank you.
You'll do a great job. Thank you. Kirk Marshall for the Arts and Technology Education Fund Awards.
Thank you, George. Good evening. My name is Kirk Marshall, and I'm the chairman of the Arts and Technology Education Fund. The Arts and Technology Education Fund would like to thank the Board of Selectmen and the town manager for their ongoing support of our committee. The purpose of the committee is to provide supplemental funding to support the educational initiatives and projects that enhance the existing curriculum of the Chelmsford Public Schools. We would like to thank the generous taxpayers of Chelmsford who have donated to our fund directly or through rounding up on their tax bill. We would also like to thank those individuals who have made a contribution to our teacher recognition program. The teacher recognition program allows students, both current and former, parents or other interested parties, to make a donation to our fund in the name of a teacher or school department employee. Please visit the ATF page on the town website for more details. The members of our committee are Evelyn Thorin, Angelo Toronto, Dr. Jay Lang, Jeff Porzio, Beverly Barrett, Tricia Duras, Colleen Stansfield, Carrie Meikle, and myself. A total of $6,538 in grants were awarded during the spring 2016 application process. The recipients are passionate about making sure each one of their students receive the tools they need so they receive the best education possible. It is truly the committee's pleasure to introduce this year's grant recipients. The first recipient, Lisa Morris, is unable to attend tonight, but I believe Lisa Martin is here. Come on up, Lisa. And this will benefit the children of the middle and high school, and the name of the grant is Keyboarding Without Tears. Let me get all of the lovely grants here. There you go. Congratulations.
Thank you.
The next recipient is Eileen Young, and this grant will benefit the children of the elementary schools, and the grant is entitled Lego Early Simple Machines. Eileen? Congratulations. Hopefully we have room for the next recipients. They are the librarians from all of the elementary schools, Bonnie Rankin, Beverly Barrett, Barbara DeFreitos, and Terry Larrabee for their grant entitled Lightbox for Elementary Schools. Thank you. Congratulations. The next recipients are Susan Slocum and Lisa Tiano from McCarthy and Parker for Habits of a Successful String Musician. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
The next recipient is Mary Ellen Forty from the CHIPS program, and her grant will benefit the preschool science center. Unfortunately, she is unable to attend tonight, so I will award the grant separately. I didn't do it. The next recipient is Allison Lacasse and Sean Wright from McCarthy for the Project Trio performance. Congratulations. You're welcome. The next recipient who is unable to attend tonight is Amanda Cooper from South Row, who applied for a grant entitled General Music Instruments. These instruments will benefit the children of the South Row Music Program. The next grant recipient is Karen Labossiere. Did I get that right?
Carolyn.
Oh, I thought I'd screw up the last name. Well, not bad for an Irish guy. And this will benefit the children of the Center and Harrington School, keyboarding without tears. Congratulations.
Thanks.
And finally, the Arts and Technology Education Fund is happy to award Christina Whittlesley a grant for Quaver Music that will benefit the children of kindergarten through 6th grade music programs. Finally, the Arts and Technology Education Fund would like to congratulate all of the grant recipients. And we would like to invite you all to visit our booth at the July 4th Country Fair on, I guess it's July 4th this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kirk. Thank you for your committee and all the hard work you do. Okay, now we come into open session. Anybody like to speak under open session? We'll give you a few minutes to... Okay, anybody like to
I
speak
think this young lady wants.
under open session? Sure, come up and just state your name and precinct or address, whatever.
Hi, I'm Kelly Santos. I am representing the Souza family. I was unable to make the last Board of Selectmen meeting. He and I were still in the hospital at that time. So I just wanted to kind of clarify some items. I watched the Board of Selectmen meeting on YouTube, so I just wanted to talk about the East Chelmsford field naming and where that confusion may lie. I felt that there was a lot of disconnect between the Board of Selectmen meeting I had attended and the last Board of Selectmen meeting, and I wanted to just let my voice be heard in the Souza as a representative for the family. When I came to present, that was on a request from the town. So I was quietly and kind of in the background, looking to see if there was a way of honoring my grandfather. And I was asked to present here at the Board of Selectmen. So during that meeting, I believe it was Paul that had mentioned that the land for the East Street School was donated by the Souza family. I was not aware of that. The Civic Committee, doing their due diligence, went through and found that it was donated by the Shed family. So that's where that confusion kind of lies. So I'm hoping to just continue to advocate for my family. We did lose another member of the Souza family recently, Alfred Souza, who worked at Hanscom Air Force for the U.S. Air Force for 30 years. He was in the Army. He served a tour in Japan. He was 88 and he passed away just last week. So I do feel that the recommendation that the board made to the Civic Committee to honor the entire family, 6 members of the 11 Souza children did serve in the military. I think that I would like to see that continue in some form, whatever form that takes. I'll leave that up to you, but I do want to just kind of get that clarification out there. So I understand we did not donate the land. However, Anthony dedicated his life to the town of Chelmsford. He was certainly a volunteer with the Chelmsford Fire Department, who plowed during the blizzard of '78, things of that nature. So I do think somewhere in there he may fit some criteria. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there since I wasn't able to make the meeting last time.
Go ahead, Bob.
Question. You had said someone prompted you to come in and ask for this. Who was it?
I would have to go through. I had actually started back in 2015 in that summer when I heard that the playground was going to have a ribbon cutting. And I approached the facilities department not knowing where to start that process. So a lot of back and forth with them. They sent me over to the town manager's secretary, who I believe asked to have me put on the agenda. And that's why I presented. So I know something that was mentioned during the last meeting was that it should have been done quietly. I had tried to do that quietly and then was asked to present. And I think the board did make a great heartfelt judgment to go ahead and move forward, and where the research for who donated the land, I'm glad that research was done, but that wasn't something that the Souza family suggested, that we had donated that land.
One more, Mr.
Go
Chairman.
ahead.
Did the civic committees reach out to you, or did you reach out to them at all?
I reached out to a member of this civic committee directly after the meeting that I had presented at. I asked to be informed of when their meetings were. I hadn't heard back. It was too late when I researched and was able to find the agendas for the civic committee. They had already met twice on this
Right.
issue. So then I wasn't available. I was in the hospital for the last Board of Selectmen meeting. However, I did want to, just kind of, I know there seemed to be a lot of miscommunication during the last meeting, but I wanted to let you know that wasn't something that I had suggested.
Did Mr. Hanson indicate that he was going to do something, or I can't recall?
I don't recall either because it was like 3 meetings ago, but I think maybe because he was on the civic committee and he was chair here, and I think
It was his
we were
last
given some
meeting that
information
I
that,
presented.
was unfortunately not correct, and I think we kind of jumped to conclusion. We should have just sent it to the civic committee anyhow. That's what we should have done. I think it was everybody's fault, and it's too bad. So what I would do if I were you is to put a formal application together and submit it to them, and then possibly review it again for maybe something else over there or whatever. I mean, I don't see a problem with that. I know that there was some back and forth between you and one or two members of the Civic Committee, and
I had sent an email to the Board of Selectmen email
Right.
address and had not heard back.
right, well, I
That
got
was
one,
on May
but then you...
21st.
I got a
Yeah.
letter from, and then I think you were interviewing. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank
know.
you.
But
Thank you.
so and then when it was kind of done, at the last meeting, because I think that the Civic Committee, one of the members wrote you, and then you wrote back to her or whatever, and
There's been some back and forth through email, yeah.
So what I would do is maybe submit another application or an application, and it can be reviewed by all the members. And if there's something that we can do over there, I'm sure that they'd be happy to do it if they feel it's the right thing.
Okay, I appreciate it.
And-
And where can that application be found?
Just a letter.
Just a letter,
Just a
and then
letter.
just address it to the Civic Committee, and you can drop it off here,
Yep.
and we'll get it to the
Okay,
proper.
I appreciate it. So
Yeah.
if there's
I
any
remember
questions, I can...
your uncle when he was on the call fire department way back. So,
Right.
and a lot of other members of your family. So, but that does,
No, I
we
know,
know everybody else too. But
right.
it's nice. It's nice that people, that have generations in town, they have cared for a long time, and sometimes it's nice to review it.
No, I appreciate it.
Any other comments, questions? Okay.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank
Anybody else like to speak on the open session? Okay. Nobody wanting to speak, we'll go to committee vacancies.
Okay, as of today, I'm going to skip over the Charter Review Committee since we'll be appointing those members shortly. There's one opening on the Civic Committee, one opening on the Community Action Program Committee, several openings on the Cultural Council, one opening on the Historical Commission, 3 openings on the Energy Conservation Committee, 2 openings on the Public Celebrations Committee, 1 opening on the Recycling Committee, and two openings on the Tree Committee. If anybody's interested in applying for any of these committee vacancies, you can fill out an application online, a Town of Chelmsford website, or a hard copy application at the Town Manager's office. Thank you.
Okay. Do we want to make that, you want to make that appointment now? Oh, that's down here, number 9, okay, so we'll skip that one now. All right, licenses. Application for a special license to sell wine at the agricultural event at Summer Farmers Market. Anybody here representing the license holder?
We have done them before, so.
Yeah, I think it's a renewal.
Yeah.
from previous year.
Okay, so do we want to make it without presentation, without somebody present?
Yeah, it's a renewal. We had no issues
Okay.
with the applicant last season.
Okay. Make a motion, please, Pat.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve a special license to Aronap Cellars LLC to sell wine at an agricultural event at the Summers Farmers Markets to be held on the Chelmsford Common on Thursdays from June 16th, 2016 to September 29th, 2016 from 2 to 6:30 p.m.
I will second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Thank you. Okay, reports and presentations. Jim Kelsey, Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee.
Evening to the board.
Oh, yeah.
Good. He said, I'm Jim Kelsey. I'm the current chairman of the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee, Advisory Committee. I'm here tonight just to present, we've developed our contribution for the Chelmsford Master Plan. So I'm here to present this. Go to the next slide, Paul. The committee was formed in 2008 as part of the Town of Chelmsford Master Plan. The formation of this committee expressed the town's acknowledgement of the importance of infrastructure that supports bicycling and walking in the town. BPAC's mission is to address and analyze issues related to foot and bicycle traffic and to help create plans to optimize these activities for the town. In addition to making these plans, we also work to educate the public about bicycle and pedestrian safety and to spread the word about the amenities throughout the town, such as the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail. Our document details the plans that BPAC is recommending for on the order of the next 10 years. This plan took several years to develop. We had a public input session in the fall, and we reached out for input from many of the boards and committees throughout the town. And this final document reflects our work and the input from those reaching out. We consider this to be a living document that'll need to be updated at least yearly, if not more often. So, as things change in the town, in case we get several $1 million to invest in bicycle amenities. A main point of our plan is the adoption of complete streets. For a roadway to be considered a complete street, it needs to be, it goes into the design and construction of the roadway itself to accommodate motorists, but, also accommodate bicyclists, pedestrians, transit users, and disabled individuals. The concept of complete streets is to make travel safe and convenient from one point to another, no matter what mode is chosen throughout town. The town of Littleton has developed a complete streets policy that BPAC's found to be one of the better plans out there, and so we're advising the town to adopt that policy or some form of it. We'd be more than happy to work on that to tailor it to our town specifically, but it's pretty thorough. The next section of the document talks about benefits of biking and walking. Obviously, there's an obesity epidemic in America, and diet and exercise several times a week helps reduce weight and the risk of developing illnesses. And it's as simple as a 2-mile walk or a 4-mile bike ride. You notice as Steve and Gary are doing sidewalks, they're making these loops, which are on the order of 2 to 3 miles throughout town, to complete these loops for sidewalks. And that's really been beneficial to see more people out there where they can do a loop and not have to just go out and back. Walking and biking also encourages social interaction, and it gives you a sense of community. It also reduces stress and has psychological benefits for people. The environmental benefits are derived from driving fewer miles. Fewer cars on the road, emissions and pollutants can cause asthma and such. Also, the costs of driving are getting higher and higher. 58 cents a mile, close to $9,000 for the typical American driver at this point, and walking and biking are virtually free. Next section talks about existing conditions. We go into a brief description of the road network within the town. We go through a more thorough description of the sidewalk network, including the state of repair of sidewalks and crosswalks, an examination of deficiencies of location or extent of sidewalks and crosswalks. We also have discuss the ADA compliance and other pedestrian deficiencies. We then go on to the bicycle part of it, discussion of appropriate accommodations throughout the town for bicycles. And these can include bike lanes, shoulder use, and shared lanes, these sharrows. We also discuss locations for bicycle racks. Gary and Steve have put many racks up that we had donated by, I think it was MIT, throughout the town, but we feel there's still opportunities for more bicycle racks. We also talk to the planning board when they, as they do these new developments, to make sure that there's proper accommodations for bicycles. We also developed a bicycle map that basically, there's several avid bicyclists on the committee, and so we developed this map where we feel we picked the safest routes for just average riders to go from various parts of the town. So Drum Hill to the center, out to the various other points of interest within town. And the final part of the existing conditions was a discussion on the community education and policies and public education and the Chelmsford bylaws related to pedestrians. Next section is recommendations. And we were very specific in this section. We attempted to identify and rank specific recommendations for improvements to the existing infrastructure. We separated it by pedestrian and bicycle-related projects. We presented these recommendations in the form of projects to be done in 3-year, 5-year, and 8-year increments. And that's not to say that, but it's more of a priority listing. These are the things that we see should be done as soon as possible. And then as funding comes up, intermediate, and then the long-term ones, which tended to be some of the more expensive recommendations we made. Next section is, in the final section, is the action plan. And it basically describes how to implement our recommendations. I mean, we meet yearly with Steve and Gary to discuss, what they're planning on doing throughout the town, and we try to give them recommendations and, just have an open dialogue with them. Nobody on the committee has really qualifications to provide cost estimates for the recommendations we made, but we're more than willing to work with whoever the town feels is appropriate to try to develop a cost-effective plan that could work within the town's budgets and still address the recommendations that we made. So in summary, BPAC's developed a pedestrian bicycle plan for the town of Chelmsford. We used the Brunswick, Maine plan for inspiration, and then we kind of gleaned off of several other plans and had our own input specific to the town. We recommend that the town adopts our document into the Chelmsford Master Plan. And we also, really want to get the point across that we believe Chelmsford should adopt a complete streets policy. And, we can base it on the town of Littleton's because that's developed and we thought it was a good plan, but we can develop our own also. But I think that, going forward, and Steve's already doing this at some extent, but I think some kind of official notice that, Chelmsford's going to try to do this complete streets is important. And then there's, in the document I gave you, there's some appendices. And it's just a table of contents to show you how we set the thing up, the bicycle map we did and the sidewalk map. And
Very good.
invite questions.
Go ahead, Glenn.
Under your recommendations, you had a 3, 5, and 8-year plans. But I think you concluded by saying that you have no idea what the costs associated with those are?
We don't. So, and what we're hoping to do is spark enough interest by the town to put some resources. I mean, we're willing to work with anybody, but we don't have any traffic engineers on the committee, so.
Do you expect some of those to be quite expensive?
Well, we tried to put yes, some of the recommendations are certainly expensive. I mean,
And
we're talking about sidewalks, they could be $1 million projects, some of the, sidewalk areas that we've specified. And then, there's no infrastructure currently for bicycles in town. So to add, bike lanes, sharrows, to start putting some of this infrastructure in is going to require resources. So to what extent, I think, sharrows and, clearly marking, the side of the road are something that we can do with paint. But, if you start getting into bicycle lanes, then you have to think about, and we've talked to Steve about this as we're redoing some of the roads in town. Can we make the travel lanes a little bit smaller, give us a little bit more shoulder so we can actually put in bicycle lanes in some of the main routes? So Route 4 being one of those. Right now, there's no room, there's no shoulder basically if you travel it regularly. That's going to get done again at some point in the relatively near future, depending on funding, of course. But, we asked, at that point, can we consider maybe putting a bike lane in along that? Because that's a nice thoroughfare from the town
The
center.
only reason I bring that up is that there's a document by the Massachusetts Municipal Association talking about complete streets. And one of their last tenets is that cities and towns are not expected to undertake street projects solely to implement complete streets.
Correct.
But as a local measure to ensure that future projects do absolutely include complete streets.
Yeah.
So, I just am concerned with adopting something that doesn't have any numbers associated with it. It's one thing to do small things that you're doing at the same time. If you're putting in a new sidewalk and incorporating it at the same time, it seems pretty, a small incremental cost. But if
And
you're talking
again,
about
we-
doing major things, that's a major commitment by the
We've
town.
tried to keep close contact with Steve and Gary and see what projects are coming up and kind of, certainly the 3-year recommendations we made, we tried to integrate those with projects that were coming up anyway to try to, get them to think more about the pedestrian and bicycle issues as they're developing those projects, whether it's repaving or, putting in sidewalks, that type of thing. So, but, again, this is, I guess what we're saying is better to be optimistic and have, we're just making recommendations, right? It's all contingent on funding. So these recommendations are things that we thought would be excellent improvements to the infrastructure of Chelmsford to better, allow people to walk and bicycle throughout the town. Again, I understand the lack of funding, but, maybe there's grants or something we can apply for as a town. There's, there might be other opportunities to be able to do some of these things sooner, but I think it's more to have a plan in place that says these are the things that we'd like to do as funding allows us to do it. That's why the 3, 5, and 8 year, those were just they were somewhat thought out, but they're kind of random also, right? We're trying to say, okay, here's the things that really could benefit us immediately that seem to have a small cost associated with them. And so these are the things that we think, could be done relatively soon. And then like the 8-year stuff is all stuff that has big numbers to it that, we can't estimate. So it's more of a, if we got money or if we decided that we're going to completely redo this road, here's what we think you should add when you're doing that. So that was the purpose of that was the purpose of making specific recommendations, was because if you make it general, then, you're not really, it's less likely that you're going to get something put in that you want put in. If you make specific recommendations and, you keep them loose enough, like I said, there's a living document. So we'll review this yearly. We'll move stuff, from our 3-year to 5-year as we talk to Steve and Gary, or maybe other stuff will come up where they're going to do a road that we weren't expecting, and we can say, okay, let's put this on the short-term list. So.
Bob?
Yeah, you talk about the master plan, being part of the master plan, but we've completed the master plan. So would this be something that, Paul, when does the master plan come up again?
Master plan would go to 2020. It was a 10-year
2020.
master plan, yeah.
So is this something that you're suggesting for the 2020 master plan? Because the other master plan is more or less in place.
See, my understanding was that this could be an addendum to the current master plan.
Be up to the planning board. Planning board owns the document.
Yeah. But then when we start doing that, we open the door to other addendums, so,
That's,
yeah.
Well, we feel this is rather important for the town.
Okay, and the other thing that I thought was, you were talking about sidewalks. Are you going to have bicycles riding on sidewalks?
Well, bicycles are allowed to ride on sidewalks now, except
Yeah.
in,
Okay.
commercial areas.
Okay, because we already have a sidewalk program that works around the school department. So it would have to be kind of integrated in. We're doing sidewalks on a regular basis.
But this goes well beyond that, right? We're talking
Right.
about, bicycle lanes, adding bicycle lanes to roads as we improve, do improvements.
Right,
Adding sharrows in appropriate spots.
not on sidewalks.
No, we're not,
No.
we don't advocate sidewalk riding at all.
Oh, okay, all right.
But by law, you're allowed to ride on the sidewalks if you're not in a commercial district.
Right.
That's just, no, we don't advocate that at all. That's why we're trying to add, and there's no infrastructure, official infrastructure for bicycles in town right now. So we're saying, this is an opportunity, and it's probably not a very expensive one, at least for the first set of recommendations.
Well, I'd like to see, I agree, something has to be done, but I'd like to see the pedestrian bicycle committee come up with proposals based on complete streets and,
Well, these are all go towards the Complete Streets policy, right? All these proposals are all integrated with Complete Streets. It's the idea of getting from one part of town to the other without using a car necessarily.
right.
And
So what
all
is it, a
these- all these-
policy?
All these recommendations feed into the Complete Streets policy. So you adopt a Complete Streets policy, as you do road improvements, you have to consider, handicapped, which you do now anyway,
Right.
but pedestrians and bicycles. Okay, if we're gonna, repave this road, can we add a sidewalk?
Right.
Can we add a bike
Right.
lane or a wider shoulder so that bicycles have a safe place to travel?
I hear you, but what I'm saying is that I think there should be a proposal made, maybe we could put it on the town meeting that involves the complete streets. Have an article at the town meeting,
Oh, sure.
creating
Yeah, I think it's,
that,
you know, complete
creating that
streets.
policy.
Complete streets is a policy, but it's a concept too. It's a way of thinking of, you know, how do we get people out of their cars and,
Right.
you know, moving around town and the town providing infrastructure for
Right.
people to take it.
That could be
advantage of that
something that could be done over a period of time, and by the time, I mean, it's 16 now, so we'll be going to a new master plan 2020, so I'm sure that we could put something in place before that, and then kind of update it when we get to the new master plan.
I mean, certainly this document, you know, we took a lot of time putting it together, so it is, you know, it should be good for the next several years with
Yeah.
slight modifications to existing conditions.
All right, I hear you. Thank you.
It seems like you put a lot of work into this, and congratulate you.
It was about a 4-year effort of, you know, second sessions. So we'd have our regular session, and we'd have a session, you know, to work on this specifically.
You ever ask the police, you know, anybody from the police department to come in, you know, on some of these major roads where you want, you know, like, if you want to get on a major road, you want to put a bicycle lane or something like that in, does it, I mean, you know?
For,
You
as a
ever invite them
safety
to
issue?
come to one of your meetings, or, yeah, whatever?
We talk to the police on a regular basis, you know, because of, you know, for various reasons, but you know, Bruce Freeman Rail Trail in particular. But no, specifically, I think we thought we'd get better traction with Steve and Gary because they're doing the
Yeah.
planning and development, and they know how much money they have. So we figured, you know,
Well, that's
interacting
always
with them was, you know, would provide more value for the recommendations that we made.
I just think some of the stuff that's on a complete street, some of the streets are real busy in certain times. I don't know, would you keep the bicycles off on a certain time, like on Route 4 or something like that?
That's a question, right? I mean, if
Right.
you make it wide enough and you have a bicycle lane, then, you know, you're not in as much danger, right? I mean, you go through Cambridge and there's tons of traffic and there's bicycle lanes and
Yeah.
bicycle traffic's going fine. We're not going to be Cambridge anytime soon, but, you know, Route 4 is an optimistic thing, but there's
Right.
other opportunities throughout town and just making shoulders wider, right? There's lots of parts in town where, you know, there's no shoulder. So when you know, if you're driving along, you might be getting angry with a bicyclist that's out in the road, but he has no place to go because
Right.
there's no shoulder. So if we're redoing that road, you know, you can shorten the driving lane to 10 feet from 11 or 12 feet and give yourself a decent shoulder for a bicycle.
I know there's a lot more of us that need to do more exercise, so, I mean, it's a great thing, but I mean, and there's a tremendous amount of people are using it now.
I mean, that was the thing, you know, with Steve in particular, they've really made an effort over the last, you know, 4 or 5 years to complete some of these loops. So I forget what it is, between Stedman and Route 4, you know, whatever street is it? I forget the name
Smith
of it.
Street?
Smith Street.
Smith Street.
Yeah.
Right, they put the sidewalk in there, and that completes a loop. And that's one of the 3-mile loops that I take now,
Yeah.
because I'm in the Westlands. So I can just go around that loop, or I can take, you know, the other loop through town. So it just gives you more variety and encourages people to go out more.
You just want to, oh, excuse me.
Go ahead.
No, because that's something different, totally.
I just wanted to comment that, you know, I've certainly seen more people walking and biking. The Bruce Freeman Rail Trail is fairly busy on the weekends and, you know, afternoons. So, you know, there's momentum for this. And I just, you know, we want to keep the momentum going.
It's good for the economy, too. A lot of people walk to the center or walk to different stores or whatever, you know, just to get some exercise, and at the same time they go out and have a sandwich or whatever that they wouldn't do maybe normally or whatever.
Yeah, we're actually working now with the development committee in the Cushing Place area to try to make that
Right.
little area a park.
That'd be nice.
Just, you know, just to encourage more people to be in that area and, you know, spend money at the local stores.
I've had a few comments, and I know a request from people about maybe like we asked about bubblers, or we asked about some place for water. I know it's difficult, it'd be difficult to maintain, and probably but I don't know if you've ever had
We
it.
have, and then we talked to Steve and Gary about it. In some of the areas that they want bubblers, just, you know, maintaining it and then vandalism are big issues because of where they wanted them. So
Yeah.
they're in, you know, an area that isn't heavily so. I mean, part of it, there's might be an opportunity in the Cushing Place area once they put this
That would be a
development,
great
if
area.
that development goes through, I don't know if it's going through or not, but if that goes through, that's going to be a much more traveled area, and now you probably don't worry about vandalism as much. And they've actually offered to provide water to, water the lawn there, and we can probably take a bubbler off of that.
I just want people to know that, we get requests, and I think we sent one or two in, and I think it was, the vandalism is a problem, unfortunately. It is. So.
No, we're on top of it.
But-
The state takes care of the underpass under 495, I think.
Yeah.
And so we call them up regularly because there's all sorts of graffiti there. There was some graffiti down at Cushing Place in between the pictures. So, I mean, it's just one of those things. And you see it on the trail. The locks get cut on the bollards. So, and that's when we call the police and they replace the locks.
Well, it's certainly one of the best used assets in the town, and we appreciate all the
It's
work you
excellent.
people do, so.
Thank you. I mean, I appreciate the support from the town. I mean, putting a line item budget in for maintenance has made a big difference. I mean, the trail's probably in the best shape it's been in 2 or 3 years, especially the DPW bought this blower attachment. And so they can go and do, blow off the whole trail in a day as opposed to it took them, a week before.
Right.
So it's been a big plus.
Well, I have questions too.
Yeah, well, I was gonna ask anybody else, I wasn't trying to.
I just have a couple of things, kind of in specific to the rail trail. In the interest of safety, I know at each place where it crosses a street, it does have stop signs on the trail itself, but it seems that people a lot of times don't really obey those, I guess you could say.
Yeah, we've put stop signs up. We've put, there's a rapid rectangular flash on Golden Cove
Well,
now.
no, I'm thinking about for the people using the trail, because some of those crossings are not crosswalks, correct?
Most of them are not
Most of them are
crosswalks.
not, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. And
I mean,
I think it creates, I don't know, sometimes issues between walkers and bicyclists and the drivers that are using those roads.
it does. There's stop signs there at the end
know
of,
that.
I mean, I don't know how you convey that. We've done articles on it in, the local papers and stuff. We've done safety articles and, these are not crosswalks. You have to stop and, wait for traffic to acknowledge you or wait till traffic passes. I mean, we continually try to educate people, but I don't know, I mean, they don't read the signs half the time anyway that we've put up. I mean, we've put up, another set of signs that talk a little bit more about amenities and actually addresses, the crosswalk. And the last set of signs that Tom just put up, I think, I have to go look at them, but I think that addressed your question to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, no, it's dangerous. I mean, bicyclists are the worst.
Right, they are.
They come and they just, will zip right, they'll take a quick peek and think that they can zip right across. And we've had a couple of accidents where people have, been broadsided because, there was a car right there.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know what the answer is either, but it just...
I mean, the bollards are painted bright yellow.
Uh-huh.
And we had a bicyclist going there at night about 30 miles an hour and ran into one of them and complained that why are there bollards in the trail? And it was, why are you doing 30 miles an hour at night?
Yeah, really.
So it's, but we, let me talk to the committee. Let me see what Tom just put up too. I mean, try to be, if that sign isn't there, think about maybe a better way of, stop, who is it, stop or you'll die?
There you go.
But, something that's a little bit more emphatic possibly, or,
Right, I mean, maybe something like that would
maybe
work.
moving the, maybe you move the stop sign to the bollard. So that it's right there in the
It's
middle
in
of
the
the
middle
trail,
instead.
something like that, or paint a stop on the bollard.
That Golden Cove is particularly dangerous because it's blind coming
Yeah.
down.
So they have the, Steve did put in that rapid rectangular flash, so if you go up there and hit the button now, it
Right.
flashes, and they
Is there any
left,
reason why we couldn't do that elsewhere?
No, we've actually talked to Steve about it, it's expensive,
Yeah.
right? Those aren't cheap. So, we've talked to him, and that was the one that we felt was the most unsafe, and then the other one is High Street. We've actually talked about putting something there also, because that's totally blind, right? People come over the hill and come down, don't see you. So, but we talked to Steve and Gary about this, and, if there's extra money, or, we mention these types of things to them, especially related to the trail, because, there is a lot of activity there.
Another thing on different, totally different subject. I've seen other communities that, I guess they have a bylaw or something that requires bicyclists to go single file Have you heard of anything like that, and
No,
how would
but
you
it
feel
sounds
about
like
it?
a
I mean,
great idea.
I know, doesn't it? Because so many times, especially when you see a group of bicyclists, there'll be 2 or 3 abreast and with no intention of, moving to the side when traffic comes along.
Yeah, I mean, I've bicycled a lot, and I've bicycled in groups. But, the groups I bicycle in were always single file.
Mhm.
And it's just, to me, it's a little bit obnoxious when you're 3 abreast and taking up half the road and expect, you're putting yourself and drivers in danger if they have to go around you. So I would be more than happy to propose.
I mean, I don't know how it would be enforced, or if it could be enforced, but
Well, you could give a warning if, policeman sees 3 across and they don't, yield to him when they hear him coming, then, he can pull them over and give them a warning. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know how. Let me talk to let me talk to the police department and see if they have heard of such a thing before, and I'll talk to committee members. I'll bring it back to committee this month.
okay.
How about a lighted stop sign that has a bright red, like if you go down 495 towards Lowell, as you're getting towards the end there, they have signs that blink bright, like LED lights. I wonder if that would help.
At
And they'd be-
the
and-
intersections?
Yeah, and they'd be cheaper than putting in the thing that's on Golden Cove.
It's probably still, a couple $100 a sign
Yeah.
anyway, and you're talking about 10 intersections or 12 intersections. So maybe some form of that on the more dangerous intersections.
Mm. Again, you could go before town meeting and ask for that. If they thought it was important, they could appropriate the money out of
Yeah.
capital or free cash or whatever Paul finds it.
Glenn?
This question's really more directed to Paul. Are there any, that infamous word, state mandates related to this whole topic that we are liable to be funding or be reimbursed somewhat from the state, but probably underfunded?
No, they don't do mandates. What they do is they do state incentives, which is there is a complete streets program as was described, and there are grant programs that I know that communities, and we are looking at as well. So if they make it a mandate, the state has to fund it, and the Proposition 2.5. So instead they go the other route, say, offer you incentives. So that is something that we are looking at, and I think because there was some data on that, about 100 communities have already taken the complete streets certification courses and so forth, and so that's where they're going. It's more grant funding.
And Steve Johnley's certainly aware of this, and he's pretty proactive about it. So,
Have we received any grants at this point at all?
From the Complete Streets program, no, that's relatively new. I mean,
That's
that's
new.
within
Yeah, I
like
think
the
that's in the last year or two.
year or 18 months, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we got the bicycle racks donated, and so we distributed those throughout town. We put some in front of the library in North Chelmsford. We put some at several of the ball fields. Well, we didn't. Gary did, and his crew. Nice.
That's every construction project. It's usually included as part
It
of
is
planning
now,
board
yeah.
approval.
And so, we've talked to the planning board, and we usually get a pass at, any new proposals, so that we can look and see, that they've added, appropriate bicycle parking. So even like the gas station, we actually had a lot of input into that.
On
And so they
27.
actually changed some of their plan to accommodate the, rail trail in particular, to, put a few more benches in and put some more bicycle parking in there.
That's good.
Yeah, they were very receptive.
Thank you. Yes, you want?
I just, this is a great report. There's a lot of detail that went into it. One question I had was, as you were coming to each of these priorities, what kind of criteria were you using? Was it based on your just riding around, or were you using trackets or police reports, or
No, I
how
mean,
did you develop?
We get police reports on a regular basis. That's one of our usual agenda items. And if we notice something happening in one place, we'll take a closer look at it. But most of this was the committees from all over town. And so basically it was, what do you see in your part of the town? And then we would have, we'd meet on a Saturday and go look at a specific intersection, or go look at the state of repair of a sidewalk, or, go drive along a road. We would all independently between meetings go drive a certain section of road to see, what the sight lines were like and that type of thing. And, a couple of years ago, we actually had a traffic engineer on the committee, and he actually had quite a bit of input into this also. So,
Thank you.
I think the town of Waltham is their traffic engineer. So that was useful at the time.
Okay. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you. And there will be 2 vacancies on the committee come July. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you. Town manager reports?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of brief items this evening. Sort of at the local level, sort of what's going on is we're sort of in the closeout of the fiscal year. Last week, we had a meeting with the financial officials on the school side and the town side, general government side. Basically, from the superintendent's office and from our finance office, we appear to be set, as we go into the final month of the fiscal year. Things appear to be in order. There aren't any surprises or unknowns that we know about. The critical school balloon payment or the summer payment is this Friday. We believe everything is on par and scheduled for this year. So the auditors have been in. They've done their preliminary work. That went fine. All reports came back that things have gone excellent. So I guess in summary, it looks like we're set to close the fiscal year, which ends on June 30th in, like I said, just over 3 weeks. And then obviously all final bills will be due mid-July. Darlene will close out the books at the end of July, and then the balance sheet will go to the Department of Revenue. And as you know, in August, we start the cycle for fall town meeting. So at this point, everything appears to be going well. We are also in the process of doing the borrowing for the capital plan that was approved at town meeting, as well as a refunding of earlier debt that can be refunded. Most of that actually pertains to the purchase of the excluded debt for the DPW building. So that will be, we have a meeting we have telephone conference call coming up with the rating agency, Standard & Poor's, within a couple of days. And so we would anticipate something by the end of this month in terms of the bond sale. And we may have to have you come in for a meeting to approve the bond sale, just a special meeting, real quick. We've done that in the past.
Yep.
To approve the bond sale, sign the notes, and turn them back to market. We believe that as things stand right.
Credit, like we usually get?
Yeah, there'd be a bond premium. We anticipate, obviously things are a bit uncertain with what the Fed's going to do with interest rates, in the short term, but it looks like the long-term interest rates are pretty much still at low levels. And that's probably a good transition to the issues that are going on at the state level. The state is wrapping up its budget process. The Senate approved its budget since our last meeting. It's now a conference committee. We anticipate something will come out of conference committee within the next few weeks. The fiscal year starts on July 1 for the state as well as the town. If for some reason that isn't completed on time, then the state would usually adopt an interim budget to just get them to when that process is complete. But I think what you may have seen in the news, that the state revenue shortfalls below their forecast for April and May have created a funding concern, I guess, at the state level. And so I think that will probably temper the budget conference committee process, that basically there's not a lot of money going around, and it's a concerning trend that I think everyone will be looking at over the next few months to see what's happening. So that's happening at that level. I think the other thing at the state level, which again I notified you by email, but just I think it's worth noting, is the state did pass a new public records law. It becomes effective in 6 months, or basically January 1st of 2017. We're awaiting official guidance on the law that'll come from the Secretary of State's office as well as from Town Council. I don't think it's going to really change business as usual. I think some of the things that will change is that the town will designate a public records coordinator, which is basically going to be the go-to person that if somebody needs assistance with a record and will help somebody through the process. Again, I've had some initial discussions with Don Arena, but again, I think at this point we're waiting to see what the requirement is and then where that can be best located. It's obviously going to be in this building because that's where people generally come to, is the town offices, but we're sort of looking to see what makes the most sense in terms of where that should take place. So that's sort of where we're at this point. Aside from that, it's the usual June business. I'm doing my performance appraisals for department heads. Department heads are doing it for them and their employees because everything needs to get done by the June 30th deadline as we start the new fiscal year. So I guess at this point, the only thing I can report is things are still being delayed with the UMass Lowell West Campus. We had anticipated, I think there was an initial meeting scheduled in May. There was supposed to be another meeting this morning that was from the postponed May date, and that's been pushed back. Clearly, there's going to be no action this legislative session on the West Campus, but it's very clear, and I think obviously if you've seen some of the recent issues with the university and the city of Lowell, it is very clear that the university is an ambitious capital plan, and that it's obviously clear to us that the West Campus is an asset they want to liquidate towards that capital plan, and we'll keep you updated. But one of the things we have talked about is we've obviously, as you know, we've brought in David Hedison and the housing folks as well, but it's very clear that there'll be a public input and discussion process prior to anything, going forward in terms of, action for town meeting or where this may go. We have talked to Representative Golden, because that is his district, and keeping him updated as to what's taking place. And, again, we're basically just going in with our eyes open. And then the last thing sort of related to town meeting sort of stuff is, now that the forum is closed for the season, we're able, and we did get the plans finally for the facility. We are renting a lift to get up and do with the structural engineer, the structural analysis of that facility. And then once that's complete, we can then turn it over to an appraiser to get a sense of what the value is for that site. Because again, that we're basically at this point within 2 years of that legislation expiring, and so we need to sort of have a game plan going forward. And then I think the last thing is in terms of what's going on in the collector's office and so forth. As I said, it's the end of the fiscal year, but also we're also entering into a revaluation year. As you know, member town meeting provided the funding to do the townwide reval. That data is being entered into the system, and then the goal obviously would be over the summer, everything would get finalized. We anticipate the assessors would send out notifications to the community of the new values, and then adjustments would be made, and then things would be done on time, for a tax rate to be set this fall. So that process is winding down. And as you can imagine, in the short term, they've got to get preliminary FY17 bills out by the end of this month, because we do quarterly, and the first bill goes out July 1 and is due August 1st. So it's, I guess, the summary, it's end-of-year wrap-up in terms of state budget, state action. We're obviously very curious to see what happens with the final state session. As you know, it's the end of their 2-year legislative cycle. We're looking to see what may come out of the legislature in terms of municipal reform. Because obviously we know a lot of money's not going to come out of the legislature because it's not there, but there is a municipal reform package, and we're interested to see what comes out. As you know, or you may know if you've read the process, this legislative end of session is a bit complicated because there are 2 political conventions taking place in the month of July that basically knocks out 2 weeks. There's a Republican National Convention, Democratic National Convention, both back-to-back in the middle of July. So it's most likely going to be a horse race to the end. In terms of what comes out, and we'll probably know where the dust settles on August 1st. But just wanted to keep you apprised in terms of what's going on internally within the community. And I think what you're seeing, and I'm surprised Vivian didn't make an announcement, but we're seeing, as you saw earlier this evening, with the June 14th date for the 7 North Road Chelmsford Public Gardens coming up. The farmers market, as you know, is opening as well. Coming up in I think it would be the 15th, right? 16th, 2 days later on the 16th. So that's another public event. The dog park's opening, Vivian, on the 22nd. Yes. And so there's a lot going on in terms of, and also we anticipate some kind of a completion or ceremony such at Varney Playground for that work, because the beach will be opening up in a few weeks as well. Site work is near completion. They're finalizing some loose ends, but that's coming in as well. So there's a lot of little things going on in the community in a rather quick period this month as we sort of end the school year and start the summer month and summer transition. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, scheduled annual performance appraisals. What I'd like to do is assign Paul Cohen's appraisal to Pat and Laura, and Bob and Glenn would do the appraisal on Darlene.
Why wouldn't we all do it on Paul?
Well, it's always
Well,
been...
you bring them, generally the way it's been done,
And-
the
and then we
subcommittee has
discuss
gone
it, but-
out and then brought them back to the
Right,
whole board
right,
for
right.
for
We
action.
do that together, but...
Okay, so
but-
you do it with a subcommittee first,
Yes, right.
and then the whole board?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
So will everybody send their comments to Laura and me about Paul?
Yeah, that's
then?
what I'm concerned about, yeah.
If they want to, or we'll just do it, we'll have either a work session to go over them, or
Do we have a form we can use from prior years?
well, you can look at his goals, her goals, and do an estimate of...
Yeah, but last year, I think we had a form, and even the year before, I think we had a form.
I think we took the goals, I think, I don't know.
I know the goal's part of it, but
Yeah,
just,
right, well, I'll ask Tricia if she has one in there.
okay.
Yeah, we can get you the goals from last year.
Yeah, that, but I mean, he's asking if there's a
Oh,
special...
we'll give you the blank form.
Yeah, the blank form, yeah, that's all.
Yeah, I
Yep.
remember.
That's all I'm asking for.
Does everybody agree with that now? Does anybody have a
Yep.
problem with those?
So me and Glenn,
You and Glenn would do the Darlene's appraisal.
Paul?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
No, the other way around.
Bob and Glenn are doing Darlene.
Okay, and then
Pat and
Pat
Laura.
and Laura will do that, okay.
Okay?
And when do you expect, are we going to, should we have them prepared for the next meeting? Our next regular meeting, or
I
July?
would think 2 meetings,
Yeah.
Okay, so sometime in July.
because everybody's going to be busy. I mean, Paul's going to be busy, Darlene's going to be busy, you know, so...
Yeah. Okay.
Well, all right?
So
The
That would be...
July 11th meeting is the first meeting.
yeah.
The only meeting in July is the 11th.
July is the 11th,
Is the
yes.
11th,
We're only
yeah.
going to have one in July and one in August,
Yeah.
unless we need to do one. right?
So do you anticipate that we would meet with that person before July 11th and have the
Yes.
form all ready?
Yeah.
Okay, I
Yes.
just want to be
Now,
clear.
Okay.
once we do the review, we won't do the monetary part of it for a later meeting?
You can
or-
recommend it. I mean, you can recommend, yeah, your
Okay,
recommendation.
that's fine. I just want to know what to expect, that's all.
Mhm. Any other questions?
That's all for now.
Okay. Okay, appointments. Charter Review Committee. Yes, Glenn?
Mr. Chairman, I should, I think, recuse myself from this since my wife is one of the candidates.
Okay, then if you want to just, you can just go sit in the front row and laugh at us like the rest of them do.
No, technically, I don't know if he can sit in the front row, can he, Pat?
Probably, yeah, he's allowed to sit anywhere except at
Oh,
the...
okay, I wasn't sure if he had to be outside the room.
I don't think he has to. no.
Yeah, he might not come back. We're gonna have-
We should have done this last then, huh?
Okay, so, all right, we'll start with you, Bob. Here's what we'll do. You start with 1, and then we'll go right here, and then Pat will do 2, and then
How about if after I do mine, Paul does his, and then we go back around?
Paul's gonna do the last one,
Oh.
That's fine.
Okay,
okay?
all right.
We're gonna each do 2 right now?
You're gonna do 1, and then 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1,
Okay, that's fine.
okay?
I nominate Valerie Diggs.
I will nominate, so many choices. Tom Moran.
Laura? Okay, Dan Burke. Pat?
Yeah, I will nominate, since I see Doug Bruce here in the audience, I'm going to nominate him for my first one. And since I see Sheila Pichette in the audience, I'm going to nominate Sheila for my second one.
Who was the first one?
Doug Bruce.
Doug Bruce, he's sitting in the back row here.
And Sheila?
Yes.
Okay, Sam Chase? Laura? I'm nominating Sam Chase, now it's your turn.
I understand.
Okay, I'm sorry. I
That's
didn't-
okay. I I will nominate Lou Marino.
Sure.
Mhm.
Bob?
I'll nominate David McLaughlin.
Three, four, five, six, seven. Paul?
Well, there's only one person left in the audience who showed up for the hearing, so I'll nominate Sam Chase. You already did
I
Sam,
did,
right? So you did
yes.
Sam. Make sure we got everybody.
Okay, you want me to tell you who's left?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out who's left. here at this
Marion's
point.
left, Mike
Yeah.
McCall's left, Elizabeth Ellen Smith, Glenn Thorne, and Donald Van Dyne.
I'll nominate, the tough one. Mike McCall.
Good choice.
Thank you.
Okay, so the committee is, if I can read down, Douglas Bruce, Daniel Burke, Sam Chase, Bob Joyce,
No.
Valerie Diggs.
I'm sorry, Valerie Diggs. You can be on the committee too, Bob.
Yeah, I wanted to, but I didn't think it was
Louis
appropriate.
Marino, Mike McCall, Dave McLaughlin, Thomas Moran, Sheila Pichette. Thank you.
Move we approve the 9 members of the Charter, what do we call them, the committee, Charter Review Committee.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
4-0. Thank
Okay.
you. Okay,
I'll go get him.
okay.
Is he coming?
He was listening.
Are these your appointments, Paul?
Well, the first one we have is
We'll
the,
have letters sent out from the, we'll have letters sent out to the committee.
you're talking about the others?
Yeah, the motel chair.
Yes. I'm
The
sorry.
Board of Registrars is ours.
That's right, okay. You want to make,
Okay. I'll make a motion that we reappoint Matthew Dolcinos as the Republican Town Committee representative to the Board of Registrars.
I will second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Is the next one ours as well?
No, that's
No, I own
Paul's.
that one. I'd seek your confirmation of the appointment of Joseph Varnum to the Chelmsford Center for the Arts Advisory Committee for a 1-year term expiring 6/30/2017.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Elizabeth
Smith is
Cultural.
also, that's a Paul appointment too.
And then the Cultural Council seeking your confirmation of the appointment of Elizabeth Smith for a 3-year term expiring June 30th, 2019.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
The other ones, it's a mixture, so.
Yes.
I mean, I can make a motion to, I think most of these are reappointments, are they
Yeah,
not?
they're all
They're all
reappointments.
I'll
Is the
make a-
list, is there a list in here?
Yes, the last page shows you, of tab 9.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You want to read them all?
No, unless you
No.
want me to.
No. I mean, I don't, I don't think anybody really,
Make a motion that we approve the committee reappointments as presented.
I will second.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Unanimous. Okay, so Selectmen Liaison Reports and Referrals. Bob?
I'd like to report that I did go to the planning board meeting last week. Glenn reminded me that they would be taking up the issue of the Win Stanley project in the center. I meant to bring the drawings with me tonight, and I didn't, but like the Adamos Mall, I'll call it for sake of any other name, or Chelmsford Center, what's it called?
Chelmsford Crossing, I think.
Chelmsford
Oh.
Crossing.
No, that's
Stop and
the
Shop, the
yeah,
Stop and
Chelmsford,
Shop, yeah.
Town Center, yeah.
Town Center.
Win Stanley.
Okay, as was the case there, I think this is a great project. I wish they could go higher so they get more units, but then we have other issues. But also, the gentleman from the bicycle group was in, and they are going to be allowing parking spaces. That's part of their plan. And incorporated in the plan is also a bike repair facility that's going to be within their building. And what was the other thing? There was one other thing they were going to, having to do with the bike. I know it's the bike facility repair thing, so.
And storage. They'll have
And storage for people that live in the facility.
Lock storage.
Right, lock storage. So I think it's a great project. I'd like to see them get it started as soon as they can, because what we're looking at now is an eyesore. I understand there are some final things that need to be worked out, but I'm definitely behind doing this. And maybe by the time it's done, I might be able to move in it. If my kids are gone. And the other thing, well, first of all, it was nice to hear good news on the news the other night about the Air Force gentleman that parachuted to safety. I can't think of his last name all of a sudden.
Turner.
Alex Turner.
Turner. And so it's nice to hear good news, and that he evidently grew up in Chelmsford, graduated in 2001. So it's great to hear that he did well, and that he's a native of Chelmsford. It was like every station I turned to, they would say, Chelmsford native. So, best wishes to him and his family. My last item is sidewalks. And again, this was brought up earlier tonight, and I know we have a plan, or at least some kind of a plan to work around schools and put in sidewalks.
Right.
What I'd really like to see is if the sidewalks were put in as concrete rather than bituminous, if it would be that much more expensive, and the longevity. I know there are many towns that do concrete, and they put the granite curbs in as well. I'm wondering if that will save us money over the long run, because I just look at Meadowbrook where Sam Chase lives.
River Meadow.
What is it?
Yeah, River Meadow.
River Meadow. There's so many meadows in this town. River Meadow was just done recently, and those they had sidewalks, and they broke down. And my driveway, I moved in 40 years ago, and it was in good shape, but yet I had to replace my driveway probably in about 20 years. I don't know if we could look at the possibility, Paul. And it seems that the labor that we have in town should be able to do it, or at least get trained on it, because where the sidewalks are currently going across a street, there's usually a ramp, and that's concrete for the handicap accessibles. So I'd just like to see that as a possibility. And that's it for tonight.
Gosh, I got a bunch of stuff. I first was at a recycling committee meeting, and there was a little bit of a concern that the library is reducing the size of their recycling area and wanting daily pickup. Just passing that along.
Recycling area for what? In terms of
In
solid
terms of
waste and
their-
recycling?
Yeah, in terms of their area for recycling, their bin area.
In the exterior? Oh, that was all done in consultation with the library trustees. That this wasn't just something.
No,
this
I
is a library
understand,
project.
But as a trying to get recycling conscious and everything, we really they're trying to get the word out that everybody should be making sure there's more recycling areas, not.
But that's their internal recycling for what's collected in the building. It's not recycling bins within the library or outside on the library grounds. That is sort of where they're storing their trash, and dumpsters and recyclable materials. I just don't want there to be any confusion that we're not allowing recycling by residents or patrons of the library.
I seriously doubt their recycling, total recycling will go down. I mean,
No,
There's-
the area will have. will
Right,
go
but that was
down.
due to the dimensional constraints at
Yeah.
the site, in terms of where they could put the enclosed facility for, because as you know, we have a bylaw requiring closed facilities for
Are they gonna have a
dumpsters.
They're gonna have a
Exactly.
dumpster.
Right.
We should be setting a good example to everyone else for recycling. Just was at the Board of Health meeting, and good news is that the populations in the hotels is going down. They're working towards various efforts in that. Mosquitoes, this week I think I got my first mosquito bite. If you do get an area that you feel you have some concern, you can call Central Mass Mosquito Control, but the issue is that they need to find adult activity. They're not just going to spray because you would like them to, so they will come out and look at it.
That goes through Board of Health too, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Yep.
And I had a wonderful meal at Adamos last weekend.
I
And
meant to
just
say
want
that.
to let everybody know, they were not fully opened this weekend, but they had an abridged menu, and it was fantastic. And they're now expanding their hours there, and they're open for business.
Yeah, I went Thursday.
Encourage everyone
I
to.
went Thursday, it was super.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was ready to go back the next night. That's all I have.
Matt?
just a couple of things. Speaking of the library, the Friends of the Library will have a book drop-off on this coming Saturday, June 11th, and also on June 25th here at the town offices at the gym. So bring all your used books there for the book sale, which will happen in September again this year. Congratulations to Chelmsford's newest Eagle Scout, Spencer Royston. He did a lot of work up at Oak Hill, creating a path there for people to use, so we're going to have an opportunity to try that out, I'm sure, very soon. So congratulations, Spencer Royston. And I'm also going to congratulate the graduates of Neshoba Technical High School. Their graduation was on Saturday. I'm going to leave the other congratulations to the chairman to handle it in his
What if I wasn't going to
his unique way.
But I was.
In Chelmsford too, didn't they
It's the
graduate?
one.
Oh, okay. I get
Is that
it.
it?
That's it.
Glenn?
I attended the CPC meeting, and there was a very detailed, extensive, about 60-page presentation from NEMCOG concerning the storefronts in both Vinyl Square and the city center. It was very detailed in terms of kind of how you go about it. No decisions were made on anything. In some cases, some people thought it would be best to try to do it as grant money to the stores. Others felt that it would be best as matching funds. Some people felt that if it were matching funds, there would have to be large dollars, thousands, attached to it to have them make an effort. There were some questions in terms of what's defined as that area, especially in the Vinyl Square area. Felt that you needed to get some of the larger businesses which were not directly in the square behind it, and they wanted to extend the boundaries of what was considered Vinyl Square matching funds or grants. But it has a long way to go, but it was well received by everyone as a step in the right direction.
Is that it, Glenn? Okay. Okay, since Ms. Woe just left the graduation up to me, I'd like to thank the school committee and the school department for inviting us to the graduation. I did attend. We marched in. I was trying to get the diploma I never got, but they seemed to forget me again.
You got a robe, George.
I did. I got a robe, but only was temporary. But they didn't have enough of my colors on there. But anyhow, it was a very well attended graduation. I mean, walking into the hall, I mean, both sides looked totally full. So, and so I want to congratulate all the the students who graduated, and many great awards, and, you know, and I hope that they go on to do great things in life and enjoy life. What I would like to, something very close to me, today is the 72nd anniversary of D-Day, and probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest battle in the history of the world, the most important battle, and maybe to turn the whole world around. And I'm proud to be a son of a gentleman who was part of that invasion, and I was honored to have been coached, taught, and mentored by many of those people who are now known as the greatest generation. And I mean, I could never argue that you know, handle that they gave them, because there's one thing about them: they never looked for any glory. They never, none of them. I'm not, you know, you never know what they did. They just went there, did their job, and they come back. I mean, I'm sure the soldiers do the same thing today. I don't mean anything to put anybody down, but I mean, these people, they were the only people who were drafted for the duration. They were not drafted for like a 2-year period or whatever. They were drafted for as long as they were needed. And they just packed up, went, did their job, came home, and started people like me, families, and you know, and went on, created businesses, and were great leaders to a lot of other generations. And we're losing them. We're losing them every day. They'll soon be all gone. And I just like to see. I was hoping the Memorial Day ceremony had taken place, because we were going to try to introduce a few of them to the younger people in town, and just try to explain to the younger people just how important this generation was to the whole world, and to us in particular. So, thank you. Thank you. I'm very humbled to say that, and I'm very proud. That's all I can say. Any press questions? No press questions? Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Good night, and thank you very much.